Hello, beautiful people. Samantha here
Hola peeps, Maria here.
from beautiful Arizona.
Sunny Arizona.
Yeah. We just wanted to make a video because we were getting a lot of information around soulmates, twin flames just coming in. And it's something that Maria and I have always discussed because we don't understand why those terms are thrown around. And then it was very clear that we should share our beliefs and how we perceive what these labels are or are not. And because there was a documentary that came out on Netflix, apparently. We know nothing about this documentary, so we're going to share with you, our perspective. And then we're going to watch the documentary and tape ourselves. So it'll be a documentary within itself. So Netflix, what's up? But yeah, so take it off, Maria.
All right. So, Sam and I have been connecting a lot. Well, she's obviously been here in Arizona and just talking about the different readings we do. And there's definitely a commonality. A lot of people coming to us, and it could be also in coaching, but a lot of it is readings that I do for people that are wanting to know who their twin flame is or their soulmate. And some people are in a relationship, or they're like kind of in between two people and they want to know which one is their twin flame or soulmate. And then other people aren't in a relationship and they're like, they just want to know who their twin flame or soulmate is. So there's just a lot of attachment to it, we'll say. And it's just funny because Sam and I, though we talk a lot, we don't talk a lot about like what happens in our readings until we really get to connect. And in person, it's been great this last week. So we've just kind of been sharing, different sessions we've had, and it's like, whoa, the same thing happens to you. And it's like, why are we always surprised by this? Like, we kind of know this at this point, but yet it's still mind-blowing. So we're just kind of like trading stories about how spirit shows us how to answer these questions, right? When people come to me for a reading, I don't even really like the term psychic because, it's like this other label that has so many stigmas attached to it in itself. And I mean, we're all born psychic, like literally. We're all energy, so we all know how to read energy. That's really what it means to be psychic. And given that we're energy beings, we're all born with these capabilities. So when people come for a psychic reading and are asking very specific information like soulmate, twin flame, job related stuff, right? And I'm getting a lot of readings like that lately. And I understand where it's coming from, but I always kind of tell people at the beginning, like, first of all, I don't get specific dates when it comes to things. Like, I may get a month, I may get like a time frame, like 3, 6, 4, whatever, right? But sometimes I don't even know if that means weeks, days, months, years, right? So I always tell people, do not attach to anything that comes through. Because when I'm reading for a client, I'm reading multiple potentials, because as individuals, we have set up multiple potentials for ourselves in this game. We're literally limitless beings, multidimensional beings with limitless potentials and opportunities to experience humanness through. So when it comes to the twin flame soulmate thing, again, most people are coming from a very linear mindset. They literally believe there's like one person out there for them. And again, I get this, and I also see how a lot of spiritual communities have fed this narrative even more. They have really romanticized what a twin flame or a soulmate is. They've made it this romantic thing. And for me, when I started waking up spiritually, I just started finding soul family. And I was like, wait, how is that any different than a soulmate or a twin flame, right? It's all the same thing to me. Like, you guys are just my soul family. You just resonate with me. And when Sam and I were kind of trading stories about what spirit shows us in these instances, it was like, I believe that we have multiple twin flame soulmates, because I kind of use the word interchangeably, like at each state of our evolutionary growth. So like, who I am today is not who I will be tomorrow. It's not who I was yesterday, right? Like, we're constantly evolving, all of us. Whether we're aware of it or not, we are shifting, changing, evolving every day. And with that, what we attract into our life is going to be a mirror of that. You hear me say that all the time. Everything is a mirror, and it really is. So how can there only be one person out there for us if we ourselves are not the same person throughout our evolutionary life, right? Mm-hmm. Like,
Yep.
and that's where free will comes in as well. Because what Sam and I see oftentimes, especially when it's people asking about two different individuals in their life, we're shown both life paths. And I can turn it over to you because I know you've had a recent experience. You don't have to get into it, but just kind of sum it up for people, like how it's sort of shown to us.
Yeah. So I had one that's like really strong right now. I'm going to share because it was right before I came here. This woman, she calls me on the phone and she's like, you did a reading for me a year ago and I just want to know kind of more about my love. Like, I know that's basic, but I want to know. I was like, no, it's okay. And I give her, the whole reading. And I was like, does this make sense to you? And she goes, yeah, but this summer I met because she asked me for the person's initials. And I go, they're not giving me initials because you're going to hold an expectation to it. And she was like, well, okay, that makes sense. And then a couple minutes later, she was like, well, last summer when you did a reading for me, you came in with certain initials, which I don't recall. And she goes, in this summer, I met two people at two different times with the same initials. And I put myself out there in a dating app to date again. And I'm currently dating this guy, but did I miss my opportunity with the two that you said a year ago? And I said, what else was in the reading? Like, because the beginning of the reading that her and I had on the phone was all about her working on herself to bring in these highest potential soulmates. But it's really who she aligns with most in this life, so they both grow individually and together, like most empowered versions of self in a relationship. And for hers, it was romance, because like Maria's also my soulmate and my twin flame. We see a lot with each other because we just do, and we don't judge. We learn from each other, and that's what really twin flames and soulmates are about, like learning from each other, and how can you do it unapologetically and not taking shit personally. And so this was a lot was coming in with this particular client, and she's like, okay, well that makes sense, and I have been doing this with my new one. So she was literally like validating that she has been doing some of the work with this new person, because I told her, this person you're currently dating, like they showed me a black horse and a white horse and literally said they're each other's mirrors, they're each other's shadows. He's still, in her eyes, a soulmate, that's someone she can have a prosperous life with, but it's not going to be super easy because she hasn't done a lot of the work. And the people that she met this summer, yes, one of them was the other person you brought in the reading, but she hadn't done any of the work. So like it was like that energy was overlooked, but it doesn't mean that it's gone, right? She just needs to do the work on her, what came in the first reading and whatever else has perspired since, to then call in the highest potentials. But she was already in one and couldn't see it because it wasn't the initials of the one that I brought in a year ago. And I felt it, I understood it, but it aggravated me a little because I know that there's such a strong pull around those words, soulmate and twin flame. And it makes you attach to a certain being, thinking that if you're with that certain person, you're happy, right? You're healthy, you're balanced. Like, it's bullshit.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
Because, like you said, twin flames and soulmates, we help each other grow. We teach each other. So guess what? We trigger the fuck out of each other, right? Mm-hmm. And with that, it's, you get the yin and the yang, you get the good and the bad, right? And what Sam was referencing too was what I talked about recently in our Missing Link podcast interview that we had last Friday. You guys should check it out with Jesse Howell. He's amazing. But I talked about how, like, we're energetic beings. Everything's energy. And so we will only attract into our experience what we're a vibrational match for. So like really let that sink into you. Like, we will only attract what we are a vibrational match for. So like she was saying, this person hadn't done the work. So that other individual came into her reality as a potential, but it's like they didn't see each other, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so does that make him any more or less her twin flame or soulmate? No.
Correct.
It doesn't. And again, I also believe that like this attachment to it, like you're saying, is feeding this external happiness. When I find the right one, my life will be complete. Guess what? Guess who the right one is? It's yourself. It's your freaking self. That's what we are actually searching for, is the real, true, authentic us. That's your soulmate. That's your twin flame. That's the one who's going to have your back when you jump into this game and when you jump out, right? And so every single other individual is just a mirror of that. Like, I literally look at everyone. I'm like, freaking, when you really start to understand the law of one and oneness, I'm like, isn't everybody my twin flame? Isn't everybody my soulmate? So then that's where free will comes in, right? Who do I want to share my life with and grow with? That's what it comes down to. So there's no one right or wrong person for anyone. Like, we need to get that out of our heads, like, seriously, because it is creating more enslavement, to be honest. Like, we are so trapped in that belief, and then people are like living their lives based on not having this individual in their life, or they're like seeking this individual, and it's like,
or they don't even see what's in front of them.
Correct.
That is for their highest and best, because they're so in their shit that they can't see the good that's in front of them.
Correct.
At all.
Correct.
It's hard.
Like, a lot of readings I do where people come and they're having struggles in their relationships, you know, I'm not always shown, oh my God, you have to get out of that relationship. A lot of times it's like, first you have to ask yourself, is this relationship worth something putting my energy, attention, and intention into, right? Like, that's where only we as individuals can answer that question. And then you have to answer that for yourself, but then you say, well, what am I learning from this? What am I supposed to be learning from this individual? And what are they learning from me? What is the mirror effect that's happening here, right? Because there's a lot of people that, I mean, there's just a lot of toxicity in all of our relationships, because we're breaking free of a very toxic environment and system. So there's toxicity in all of our shit, right? And I hear this there's so much blame out there right now on the other person, right? When there's disconnect in the relationship. Well, guess what? It takes two to tango. So if you are feeling disconnected from an individual, it's because you're also feeling very disconnected from yourself. And likely that person is also feeling the same way, because again, we're only going to attract into our life what we're a vibrational match for.
Because energy doesn't lie. Because we are energy.
Right.
Everything is energy.
Legit. Everything.
And I'm thinking about, so I had a reading from someone that you guys have heard me talk about in like our podcasts, but as a first reader that didn't actually like make me leave with fear. She gave me a lot of empowering tools, even though I didn't know what she was talking about. Well, I got another reading from her. So what would it have been, like 4 years later? 5 years later? Since I don't know timelines.
Well, you just got it
2019.
this year, right? Yeah, so like 4 years later.
Okay, 4 years later. And some of the things she said in it around, oh, you have this, you're in a relationship now with this person, but there's another person I see. She said that the first reading, and I was like, but it was like the exact same thing. And she kept like telling me things about myself, but it was like she was reading a different timeline. It wasn't like she was.
Yeah.
Because she couldn't figure it out, but I knew what she was going, but it was like she was in a different timeline. And spirit, higher self, me, they, whoever, source, had dropped in this like knowing within me that every decision, it just validified that every decision you have made from that first reading, you took the tools, you did things. So it changed the trajectory of everything around you. And so she was still reading an old timeline. And it just shows that we are creators of our reality. And if this client I was just talking about did some of the work without holding an expectation to those names, then when they came in awareness, rather than her sitting there like, oh, this is the one, like they should be like coming to me, there wouldn't have been a question. It would have just aligned.
Yeah.
And so when this reader was telling me about the people, like with my romantic energy, the second time she did it and said the same thing, I was like, I understood what she was saying, but she's also someone with soulmate twin flame perception. And I can see how that could really fuck some people up. Like,
Yes.
well, if I'm with this person and I'm not happy, like, maybe this isn't my soulmate. It's like, well, they have been your soulmate for a time, because there was a point where you guys got along really well. And if it wasn't, then that means you were in denial of something, so you were in denial of you. And now when I do readings with people and they're like, I want love, I'm like, it starts with you.
Legit.
Because it does start with you. And you don't really know that until you start really embodying that and doing the work. And you're like, fuck, I am the bomb.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And then everybody you attract into your life also believes they are the bomb and you are the bomb too. Mm-hmm. That's literally how it works. That's why there is no one singular person for us. And I mean from an energetic lens. What we choose as individuals, then that's what we choose, right? That's the free will. Who do we want to share our life with? Who do we want to spend our life with, right? That's the human experience that our soul came to learn through and grow through. So, when people, and I feel like when we explain this to people in a reading, they don't hear us, like, because I've explained this multiple times, very much like how we're explaining it right now. And then at the end they'll go, so I'm not with the right person? So which one is the right one? And it's like, oh my God, did you hear anything I said, right? And I get it. We're all still, because we're attached to that. We want that outcome. And again, we have this very, very disillusioned belief that happiness will come from finding the right one. And the right one is you. Like, you have to find you, the real, true you, underneath all of the conditioning and programming. Like, there's you underneath all of that. When you find that, you're not seeking it anymore in the external. And then you're more open to actually receiving it when it kind of just appears. It'll appear like it's just appearing, but it's like it's always been there, kind of thing. Yeah. But now I've raised my vibrational frequency, and now I'm seeing it differently, right? Mm-hmm. So those of you that are maybe in relationship issues right now, this isn't just for people that are seeking their twin flame and soulmate. It's also for people that are in relationships, and there's a lot going on in people's relationships right now, because the energy is out there, right? So people are feeling it in their relationships and not knowing if they should stay or go, right? Only you can make that decision. Do not go to a psychic and ask them that. That's feeding this narrative that psychics are the guru of your life.
And that your power is outside of yourself.
Correct. No psychic, no reader, whatever you want to call us, should be telling you what you're supposed to be doing, what you should be doing, because that is all that egoic construct. It's the egoic mind. Spirit never gives me messages about what someone should or shouldn't be doing. Yeah. Right? And I also don't go in and ask it that way. I always ask to be shown their highest and best path, and I'm shown that first, but then I'm also shown other potentials to be able to give this individual even more information to be able to make a decision from, right? To be empowered. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And that's something that Bria and I have noticed in the spiritual community, because we might be late to the game, but not really.
Whatever that is, because time's an illusion.
My chair just sounded like I farted, but I didn't fart, guys.
It is the chair.
Because there are so many people out there that will promise you things or tell you things, because in their mind that's still a belief in them or narrative, or they're living in ego with something. And it's not to insult anyone, but it's to just know that so when someone comes to me and it's a love question, same with Maria, but I'll ask them one, are you in a relationship right now? And yes or no. And then spirit because I don't go into anyone else's energy that's not sitting in front of me. Correct. Right? That's invasive. Unless I have your permission, I'm not going in it. So I am shown your quote unquote agreement, your quote unquote path with whoever you're in a relationship. Yeah. Exactly. And then I am shown what is their state of awareness right now and what is your state of awareness. Mm-hmm. And then I am shown, just like Maria said, all the different potentials. And I go, okay, can I see that? I do kind of an opposite. Can I see the highest one? Because I see the highest version of them, but I don't know which path it is that brings them there. And it's not that any of them are wrong. Mm-hmm. It's are you ready to do the work? Are you ready to see yourself and not take things personally? Are you ready to meet your partner where they need to be met, no matter what? Like it's wild.
It's basically literally what I'm hearing, and I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like you get to choose your experience.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It's like there is no right and wrong. It's all just meant to be experienced. So the more conscious and self-aware you are, well, chances are you're going to pick a higher experience because you're more aware, right? So you're actually leading and following the heart from love, right? So that's when I say highest, it's because you're actually in it more from a love state than fear.
Yes.
So it's like, choose your own experience. That's literally what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And the more conscious you are about that, you're like, oh my God, I've always been choosing my experience, but just very unconsciously.
And the twin flame soulmate is not necessarily someone that gives you the butterflies and all that. It's usually a lot of time, this is coming in very strong right now, when you're not expecting it. That's why, like, Spirit never gives me particular dates or names, and if they do, I say them because I know with how I know how the world of energy is, and I know that everything's multidimensional, so when it's very specific, it's like very specific, and I'll share it. But I'm not going to make something up, whatever. But it's like I ask, okay, like I'm almost shown, or it's just knowing, I don't even know what the difference is now, but how many potentials you've put in your timeline to help you be your highest and best version of yourself. And I'm shown like, oh, and this just started happening like last year. I was like, this person literally put in for 3 main people to come across her path, like, or his path.
Whoa, I had one wicked similar.
Yeah, and that's how they happen now. And it's like, oh no, this person only did 2, but don't worry, they haven't met them yet, the other one. Or this one person had like 7. I was like, whoa, like, cool. It doesn't mean that you stay single because you want to like have each one, but it's like, no matter what you choose in your life, it's like this one's coming because it's going to help you catalyst this, or it's going to help you grow in this, or you're going to help them. But it was just when I was shown that, I was like, whoa. So I know we're all multidimensional. Our souls go in all these places. I know we have other lives. And it's like, so how can someone choose how many they have?
Right.
And it's like we choose our reality.
Right.
And once we have that understanding, it's like, oh. So I have been shown that people are in a relationship, they'll meet someone, and then there comes their other potential. And it will always be when the person's extremely happy with the other person, and so it's not a match for the other potential, or the person's going through some stuff and is projecting it on their partner, thinking it's because of their partner they're not happy. There comes the other potential.
Yep.
And that's when they need to find out their truth. Like, is it because of the other person or what? And they'll never know that other potential is their soulmate. It's like, it's so cool the way they showed me. I was like, whoa. So it's like, we are in our own video game. It's like, we can just choose player.
Legit.
Right? But it's like, the work still needs to be done no matter which player I choose. Like, it needs to be. So if someone's telling you, we'll do a soulmate reading, or here's a soulmate drawing, you're going to get one. Yeah. You're going to get one.
You will.
Because I'm her soulmate, she's mine. Right? Like, Bandit, her dog, is my soulmate twin flame. Like, he was doing soul retrieval on me a couple days ago. I mean,
legit. And
when it comes to your mom can be your soulmate.
Yep.
Because if you've had many lives together and you're in each other's like team to grow, that's your soulmate too. So it's really about who provides you the most safety, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, in all levels. And who also feels safe with you to provide that for them? Because that's a soulmate right there. And you can do a lot of growth there. Even if you both get triggered AF, you know that like you're safe. You know that you're safe. And there's a lot of people in the spiritual community that still hold very strongly around labels to certain things. And that's okay. But really use discernment. Like really, really use discernment when you're getting readings from people. Because no one can tell your future And if they tell you they can tell you your future, no.
Use some discernment.
Yeah. I will tell you things that are coming in that are in your fields.
Strong potentials.
Yeah.
That's how any future readings I do for people, because people come asking very futuristic stuff because they're coming to a psychic, and that's the narrative we've created with a psychic. Let me look at my crystal ball and see what your future holds. It's like we're shifting our futures all the time. We're shifting our timelines all the time based on free will, based on our own self-awareness. So it's when I give people futuristic readings, I'm very transparent at the beginning about telling them not to get attached, even though I know they're going to. But at least I'm planting the seeds, because I know the majority of readers don't operate that way. Like, they really give them, yes, I want to prove that I can read your future, so let me just give you all this information. I'm not saying, again, that there's not accuracy to it, because there absolutely can be. They're reading your current energy field. What they're reading is your highest potential based on the energy you're bringing into the session.
Yeah,
literally. And that's how I explain to people. When I'm reading your future, I'm reading your aura, your energetic field, what's in it right now, and what is the strongest potential based on the choices you've made thus far, based on what I can feel from you in this now moment. You could walk out from this reading and leave and make a completely off-the-cuff, free will, or maybe even an intuitive decision, right? And it's like, now you just shifted all potentials. So some of the stuff in the reading could still play out, but not necessarily the way that, I read it. So it is so not black and white, and yet people come asking very black and white questions because we live in a linear world. We live mostly in the left side of our brain, right? That's the analytical, logical, reasoning, linear world. And I get it. Like, that's literally how we're conditioned to live, but it's very tunnel vision. And so there is not just one soulmate for you. There's not just one twin flame. And to me, it's really all about, like, every stage of your growth, you will have a plethora of twin flames and soulmates that are on your same energy vibe, right? But it doesn't mean also that you can't learn from those that are on different vibes as well. That's where you take control over your life. And you're no longer like, where is my one and only, right? Like, you're your one and only. And so now you get to choose based on your evolutionary growth, who do you want to grow with? Who do you want to chill with? Who do you want to, like, do life with? Right? So I feel very fortunate that I have multiple soulmates, twin flames, soul family. To me, I just like soul family. That resonates the best with me.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, we're all family. We're all one, right? But, yeah. So I just feel like...
And the word soulmate. Soul is energy.
Energy mate.
Yeah. And if we're all energy, and a mate is a friend, right? Like, I was literally looking up the word mate the other day, and I was like, oh, like, ships, like, hey, mate, right? Like, I went down a rabbit hole of a word. But that's okay. That's where I go. And so if you think about it, it's just like a mate. It's a friend that can support your soul. A friend that supports you. And if it becomes romantic, then it becomes romantic. And I think that's why, too, like, if there's a man, since I'm a female, I can say this. If there's a man that's attractive, and, like, I talk to them, or they're a client, or whatever, there's this, like, weird, like, are we flirting, or are we communicating? Like, are we just being human? And I think it goes back to this label of, even though I'm in a very happy relationship, it's like I get nervous sometimes because it comes back to this energy of, like, if someone is kind to you, then, like, they're flirting with you. But it's like, no, that's because we don't live in a benevolent society.
I know.
Right? We don't live in a benevolent society. So your soulmate is very unexpected because they are that kind energy to you. And even if at first you're like, what is this? Like,
sometimes.
when Maria came up to me when we first met, I was like, whoa, like, you're a little too much. But then I was like, ooh, I love you at the same time.
A little too much.
Yeah. But then there's, like, the soulmate parts that triggers us right away. But it's needed to trigger us, to awaken to something within us.
Yes, because I personally, this is my own personal opinion, I don't believe that a soulmate Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that to constitute someone as a soulmate that they are kind or make you feel safe. I
Yes.
don't.
Yeah.
I actually just think that they're a mirror of you. So however you're feeling is what you're attracting in other individuals. So it doesn't mean that they're not your soulmate or they are your soulmate. Like it's again, it comes back to human choice. Like who do you want to share life with? That's really what it is. It's like, because legit anyone and everyone can be your soulmate and your twin flame. If you can really break out of this linearity and realize that we are all from one single source, well then how are we not all twin flames? How are we not all soulmates, right? That means there's an aspect of our soul that is the same in every single one of us. Now, as individual human avatars, we've created different experiences, which has now shifted our soul signature because of the different incarnations we've embodied in the physical realm. And that could be anything from a leaf to a tree to a dog to a human, right? Like there's a multitude of incarnations. I'm not even just talking about human. I'm talking about all of the incarnations in the physical realms. So it's who do you want to do life with? That's really what it comes down to. Stop giving your power away to thinking that like you're going to be happier if you find you're yours truly, your one and only. You are your one and only. Like if you take nothing else away from this video, you are your soulmate. Yo. So. And then just let yourself enjoy life, like, because I feel like people are like actually not even enjoying life, like because they come with this like desperation, and it's like you're not even enjoying the relationship you're in. You're not even seeing some of the beauty and the growth in what you're in, right? Because you're so freaking focused on this isn't the right person. Well, then why are you with them if you're feeling that strongly, right? Like it's like that's where like you have to like own your truth and like what you want out of life. That's really what it comes down to. What do you want out of life? What kind of people do you want to share your life with?
Or when you have a wicked cute freckle on your big toe, by the way. Thanks. Or when you break up with them and you're like, but I thought they were my soulmate. I'm gonna be alone for the rest of my life.
Right.
Only if you believe that. Yeah. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, if you believe that, then you will create that for yourself. And you're right, I do get a lot of that. I'm afraid I'm going to be alone the rest of my life. And it's like...
Which is a very real...
It is. It's a very real... It comes from abandonment.
Yeah.
Hello. So no judgment here whatsoever. No judgment. And the best thing I can say to, like, the antidote to that is actually getting super comfortable being alone. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean, like, even that you have to cut it just really, like... finding space and being alone and in your own energy without any distraction, like that's what will move you out of the fear of being alone the rest of your life. And guess what? The more you move through that fear, all your potentials are just gonna like land in your lap.
Yep.
The second you stop looking, they're just gonna be there because they're always there.
Yep.
But you can't see the forest through the trees.
Nope. It's funny. I was dating like 4 people, like right before I met Kevin, but I wasn't really
vibing with anyone.
But it was like all of a sudden when me and him started hanging out, it wasn't anything romantic at all. Like we worked together, nothing. And it wasn't until like 4 months in, I just looked over and I was like, oh my God, is this what love is? Like it was like this weird thing that came over me, and I was like, oh, because we don't just have one soulmate. We don't just have one love. We don't just have, but it's like we're each other's mirror. And I like felt that, and that was like that, like, am I in love right now? Like this looks different than any other. I'm like, what is this? And
you could see the mirror.
Yeah, I could see the mirror, and I'm like, wow, cool. But then that's when I realized I haven't been dating anyone else because it came in unexpectedly, and I released attachment while I was learning to like see what I want. Who am I in the process? And he came in that midst of when I was learning who I am.
Fucking flies.
There's flies everywhere. Because they're saying this soulmate twin flame labeling is bullshit, and we're just dropping flies everywhere.
It rained for the first time in Arizona yesterday for like several months, and now the flies are rampant.
They're all on my slippers.
Like the whole video.
I literally asked her, I was like, so do you think when a fly lands on you, the fly's like, yeah, I landed on a human? Like, because I was staring at, I had 4 flies, because I was like, I'm just going to act like I'm one with the flies so they don't bother me. And then I'm like, there's more. So I look, and they're just on my legs. And I'm like, what are they doing? I'm watching them like.
Yeah, I think they're mostly AI, most of them. Same thing with mosquitoes.
But what are they doing?
They're like, well, they know, like, does anybody like flies? Let's be serious. No, we hate them. And they're gross. They land on shit and then eat our food. Like, I think that they were created to cause a ruckus.
To cause a ruckus.
To cause a ruckus in our life. I think they're AI. Like, because obviously we know bees are very crucial to the survival of this planet, but I'm like, flies, I'm sorry. Like, and they start off as maggots. Oh.
They do?
Yes.
These flies, these ones came from the water.
No, they're maggots first. Your favorite thing. We have maggot trauma. We'll have to get into that in another video.
That is gross.
Yes. Maggots are the baby flies.
Oh.
So even grosser. So I think that they're just like, I don't think that they bring any benefit to the earth. I could be wrong, but they're gross. And they're everywhere right now. So on that note, people.
I'm trying to look up what a fly does, but if you know good things about flies, please fill me in.
Yeah, please feel free to comment if I'm totally off base here. If they provide some sort of benefit to the environment, then
A fly's life.
you can help alchemize my hatred of them.
Yeah.
So
I don't hate them. I'm just curious why they just like.
hate is a strong word.
Yeah.
I don't hate them, but they're annoying.
They're a little pesty.
They're a little bit.
They're definitely not our soulmates. Or maybe they
Well,
are.
maybe they are.
Shit. We'll see.
I guess that. Wait. I'm eating my own words. Right?
Yep.
I only attract what I'm a vibrational match for. So there you have it, people.
I guess you're a maggot. Oh my god, I'm a maggot too. I'm alchemizing my maggot fear through. I don't even know what this video is about anymore. Oh wow.
All right.
We're gonna go watch the documentary.
On that note, we're gonna go probably rip this documentary apart, or maybe we'll enjoy it. Who knows? We'll see.
Because we have no idea what it's about.
We don't. We just know that all of a sudden, she and I have been talking about it, and then both of us saw it like posted by people on our Facebook about this documentary, and I'm like, dude, all right, we gotta make that twin flame video before we watch it, because I don't want to be at all like influenced by whatever's in it. So now you guys know what our take on the soulmate twin flame narrative is.
Yep, we have many potentials, not just one, and it's based on our vibration. There you go in a nutshell. A very small, summarized nutshell.
There you go.
Love you.
Love ya.